from a university leader to help me, guide me in Illinois State Board of Education, higher education, and Dr. Phillips, and knowing how to best get this. How do we get a data center, a privacy center to protect that data from breach, and making sure that we're able to follow the student all the way when she starts in the CNN or he, go all the way through their PhD and their doctorates maybe, to follow them through the labor market, to the Labor Department, Department of Public Health, Department of Human Services, Department of Education. We need a hub and spoke system that will have access to all this knowledge, and then that you can monitor it. That we make sure that intelligence has access just through a push of a button. Because if not, then I've failed you. And we have failed our communities. And let's get these health fairs up. Let's get them back into the communities. But every Walgreens, and I want to put a shout out to CVS who says no more tobacco. And no more. We want to make sure that prescription drugs are safe as we rewrite these prescription drugs. Let's make sure for every prescription they fill, make sure that they can put $1 back in that community. Let's make sure that hydrocodone and Vicodin isn't the #1 prescription in America, let alone in Illinois, with all the drug interaction deaths that have occurred, which I actually even took my oldest son. So let's look at all of these things, but it's our responsibility. Let's stop waiting for someone to tell us about it, and let's get that nurse ready to get into the field, because here's your curriculum and here's your education component of everything we've been talking about the last few years as I've moderated your workshops, and that is on diabetes and metabolic syndrome, on HIV and the communities of and asthma. All of the things that were prominent and prevalent in that communities, in retrospect, in the 5 years now that I have had my son with Jesus, I have not seen significant policy changes in statutes to be able to match the amount of work that I get when I come here to meet with all of my professionals. And I have left some challenges. And I have to make decisions too as I evolve, because the city of Chicago needs us. As you look around, as I'm touring my schools, 5 out of 5 seem to be brown. In my district, 88% need a minimum wage hike. Those familias are there, they're immigrants, they're Polish and they're Mexicano and they're from Croatia. Okay, so we need to. We have international nurses I didn't even think about. We have Dr. Zun who can lead us on that. So now it's time to bring that together, and I say, we're going to see this real. So with that said and done, this concludes our panel. Let's give them a great round of applause.
Just like a kid again, in front of fire with all my friends. I hope the season never ends for us. It's the season we're just having years and now.
I mean, all of his albums are great. But Love in the Future is a masterpiece. Look, I'll show you. That's John Legend. I know. This is one of my new favorite songs from his album. It's John Legend in your living room. What are you talking about? It's my definitive technology wireless speaker. Part of this whole new wireless music system thing. Come on, I'll show you. Love it. We'll light some candles, turn the lights off, so we can set that mood right off.
Just like a kid again, in front of fire with all my friends. I hope the season never ends for us. It's the season we're just having years and now. felt just like a kid again, in front of the fire with all my friends. I hope the season never ends for us. It's the season we're just having years and now.
I'd like to introduce myself. I'm State Representative Lisa Hernandez from the 24th District. I represent the Little Village, Cicero, Berwyn, Stickney, Riverside, into Brookfield. So quite an extensive area. Before we move to our panelists, I do feel it's necessary that there was big news last night. Big news, and I'm hoping there's a lot of questions here for our panelists. Well,
we have a lot of questions too.
I see Fred kind of, well, let's see how many questions. But
we have
no,
a lot of questions too.
No, but I think it's exciting, but cautiously moving ahead. What's going to happen? What's going to take place? At a state level, I think many of you are aware, we have been, I think Illinois has been really in the front in terms of putting immigration reform on path, setting the example for other states. We've signed the law where temporary driver's license are now given to the undocumented. The DREAM Act legislation that now allows undocumented students to attend and pursue their education. The fact that this governor, unfortunately exiting, held back that Secure Communities, a federal program that was actually hurting our families. So just with that, it just tells the direction Illinois wants to move. And so with last night's address from the president, it really just gives many families now a hope. It's that hope, once again, what direction that we are moving, and there is hope there for our families. I think it's appropriate that we're going to have to change our program a little bit here based on the address last night on the executive action. I am going to have Mr. Fred Sau begin the discussion on the executive action from last night, a response to that, a discussion about that. And then we are going to open it up after his presentation. We're going to open it up to questions and answers. And then we'll pick up from there the presentation that we had lined out for you. So given yesterday's announcement, I think it would be just appropriate to start with that. So just a little bit about Fred. Fred is an attorney, and Fred is also the policy advisor to the Illinois Coalition for Immigration Rights.